Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with your host Eric Arnold, presented by Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella Motors.
Well, good evening, race fans. Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. I am your host, Eric Arnold, Knoxville Raceway track historian. Thank you for joining us tonight here on KBOE 104.9 in Oskaloosa and at KBOEradio.com, your station for racing. Each Thursday night this summer, we have been talking sprint car racing from the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville Raceway. Tonight is our last show of the season, so I want to thank all of our partners at KBOE and our sponsors that have supported the show all season long. Goldie's Auto, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Atoma Regional Health Center, Sandals Lounge, Slumberland Furniture, just to name a few there. So thanks to those folks. Thanks to the Knoxville Raceway staff, Brian Stickle and John McCoy, the Marion County Fair Board for kind of getting on board and getting this show started this season. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I hope you, the listeners, have had a good time listening as well throughout the summer. So hope to do it again next year. So this coming Saturday night at Knoxville Raceway is the Knoxville Championship Cup Series Finals, season championship night, as we used to call it. This year, the points battle is just unbelievable. In the 410 class, there are 6 drivers mathematically still eligible to win the championship. So the top 4 are probably the ones that have the best shot. The guys running in 5th and 6th, which is Davey Heskin and Craig Delansky, are a little ways out. Going to be hard for them to make up any ground there, but mathematically they're still eligible as going into this Saturday night. And I can't remember going into the final night of the year where had this many cars eligible for the championship in one class. It's just you're lucky to get 1 or 2. Last year we had 3 guys coming down to the final night, and this year we've got a solid 4 and mathematically 6. So just unbelievable, and says a lot about the competition level this year at the Knoxville Raceway. So after the completion of the FVP Knoxville Nationals a couple weeks ago, we took a breather last week. No sprint car racing last Saturday night. This coming week, again, season championship night, or the Lucas Oil Knoxville Championship Cup Series Finals. Just to recap the point standings, Ian Madsen is the 410 point leader. He has an 88 point lead over second place Justin Henderson. In third place is Terry McCarl, 104 points out. And in fourth place, Brian Brown, who is 114 points out of the lead. So those 4 guys definitely have a shot. There are 260 points up for grabs on Saturday night. So if things work out for someone, you can definitely move up. Ian Madsen, as long as he has a solid night, should be able to pull off the championship and be his first career championship at Knoxville. He would also become the first set of brothers. His brother, Kerry Madsen, won the championship back in 2005, so it would be the first time we had a set of brothers to be crowned Knoxville track champions. In the 360 class, Joe Beaver is leading the points, 116 points over John Agan. Those 2 guys both grew up in Knoxville, still live there, so it'd be great to see a local guy win the track championship in that class. As long as Joe has a good night, he should be solidly in there and accepting the cup at the end of the night. In the 305 class, Jay Kinder is your point leader. Steve Brazil and Matthew Stelzer are also still in the point chase there. Anything could happen with those 3 guys yet. Steve Brazil, his last night of racing at Knoxville, he's calling it a career after this Saturday night, hanging up the helmet. He's retiring and moving to New Mexico and kind of ride off into the sunset and call it a career. He's been a veteran there at Knoxville for the past 20-some years, I would say. Best of luck to Steve Brazil after this season. So with this week being the final night of the year, the Junior Fan Club will have a pizza party there in the Dyer Hudson Hall from 5 to 6 p.m. So it's a free pizza party for anyone who's been signed up as part of the Junior Fan Club all season. They usually have some prizes to give away. A couple of drivers probably show up to sign autographs and take pictures, that kind of thing. Also, after the races in the infield, there is a fan appreciation meal that's given out. I think just hamburgers and hot dogs that they grill out down there. So free food in the infield after the races for all race fans, anyone in the pit area, drivers, owners, sponsors, fans. Everyone is welcome after the races for that free food. And once again, the same promotions apply. Casey's receipts of $50 or more this week will get you 2 tickets for $20. Seniors ages 60 and up, $3 discount. Pellicorp, Nationwide Insurance, and Farm Bureau members, a $5 discount if you show your company ID. Coming up in the next segment, we will interview 305 sprint car driver Keoni Texeira. Keoni from Hawaii originally. Thought it would be good to interview Keoni. I hadn't had a 305 driver on yet this season, so with the last show, wanted to get someone in, and he's one of the most interesting characters that I've met in that class this last couple of years. But also didn't want to kind of jinx any of the point contenders and have one of those guys on the show. It seems like whenever I do interviews with them the past couple of years, I end up jinxing the guy, so I didn't want to do that to one of those guys either. So coming up here in just a few minutes, we will have Keoni Texeira on the phone. This is the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. On the phone with us is 305 driver Keoni Texeira. Keoni is from Honolulu, Hawaii originally, moved to Iowa here a couple of years ago. And Keoni, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So the 305 class has been steadily growing the last few years at Knoxville. And, last year when I first met you, a guy from Hawaii ends up at Knoxville. I was intrigued and I thought, wow, how did this guy end up here? And how did he end up racing a sprint car? Because it's not like you hear about sprint car racing in Hawaii very often. So just kind of give us a little background about where you started racing in Hawaii and how you ended up in Iowa.
I wound up racing back in Hawaii. We started off in the four-cylinder class and eventually moved away to midgets and driving for Chuck Garner and John Farrow out in Hawaii. And we did good. We won a lot of races. And I ended up moving to California back in 2007 when our racetracks all closed down in 2005. So in 2006, we kind of saw ourselves sitting there with nothing to do. And we came up to California to help a friend race. We brought a car up from Hawaii, Dean Freitas up in California, and that was the first time I've been to the States, and I was like, man, this is enjoyable. We can go racing, we can go play in the snow, there's a lot of things to do here instead of just being stuck on a rock. So 2 months later, I moved to California, and I wound up getting hooked up with Corey Cruzman, and did a bunch of things with him, and I wound up being a crew chief for his driver development program, and got to work with a lot of different people, and didn't do much racing out in California. We only did a couple midget races, and that was about it. One of my drivers in the program was actually from out here in Iowa, and I came out here to help them out and developed a midget chassis for him, and we did some midget racing. And towards the probably midway of last year, I got an offer to go work for Keith Coons Motorsports and Trey Gustin Racing out in Ohio and Indiana. And I was kind of debating on just, give up the driving thing completely and just continue with the crew chief thing and just move on with it. And I wound up meeting my car owner at Knoxville in the Hall of Fame Museum. And we wound up talking about some things, and he offered me a piece of pizza to begin the conversation. And I was like, okay, whatever. And next thing I know, he said, well, we try driving next week if you want to drive a wing car. So I didn't want to turn him down. I never drove a wing car before, but I told him, it's worth a shot. Let's see what we can do. So we went to Burlington, and we had a 22 car started the main event, and it kind of hurt us to begin with because I told him, it's we don't qualify here. You just kind of start in a position where you line up in points. So because we never raced for points, we started 8th in the heat race, and we made it to 3rd, gave us a position in the A main. So we started the A main in 12th. Never really drove on a track without walls before, and we jumped the cushion going into the first corner when some people got together, and we wound up stopping in the corner or off the track, and we started in 22nd, and we wound up making our way up to 12th. So it looked like a good run, but I was kind of upset with myself being that we had a good starting spot to begin with and kind of messed it up. So after that, he said I can drive anything for him and we can go to Knoxville. So this is how we ended up at Knoxville.
And your car owner is a guy from Alaska, so kind of an odd combination, a guy from Alaska and a guy from Hawaii racing together.
Yeah, it's a real odd combination. I mean, it gets everybody's attention, and it's really, really odd couple. And luckily, we were, the last guy to finish off all 50 states to start in the Knoxville race. So that was always a plus. But
yep. So last year you come to Knoxville and you raced, I think, 3 different nights. You timed well each night, and you did pretty good in your heat races and in your features the first couple of nights. had trouble on your third night, I think. But would you think, kind of going from cars that you had driven without a wing to a car with a little more horsepower, a big wing on it, a totally different animal from something that you haven't driven before, plus a huge track?
Oh, it was a real big difference. And for like Burlington, it was almost like driving a midget, just with a little more traction. It was fast, but you're kind of sideways, and we did a lot of slide jobs, and I guess people don't really pull off slide jobs that sideways in wing sprint cars, and we kind of, I don't know if we looked bad or not, but we made some moves and went to Knoxville. I was like, wow, this is way different. There was muscles in my body that I wasn't prepared for. So it was a real big change, and it was something we had to try and adapt to really quick. And luckily, it was just kind of having the knowledge of sprint cars and midgets with me that it kind of helped out a lot to, as far as driving wise, to what the car is doing. It's just trying to get used to that big wing above your head. It's a real game changer.
Yeah, I think Justin Henderson talked about how the first time he came to Knoxville, that his dad told him that when you get into the corner, you don't have to turn the car, and he quickly learned what he meant by that. Is that kind of a similar philosophy to what you kind of learned there as well?
Oh, big, exactly like that. It's a big change. And, in the midget and stuff, we're not a wing. We're kind of sliding up to the cushion about 20 feet before the cushion, sometimes halfway down the straightaway, to now with this, you're turning on the cushion or like a foot before the cushion and not letting off the gas. So it's hard to get used to, and we use a couple nights to just try and get used to run the top and try different things, but it's a real different mindset when you're trying to turn the car right there on the cushion, coming in wide open to, you watch Brazil and Kender and all these guys who've been racing here for years trying to, pulling it off like it's nothing, and you go up there and it's like, yeah, that wall's about 10 feet from me, so this is going to hurt. I think if we didn't, crash last year in the third race, that that wall wouldn't be so intimidating coming out of turn 2. But we got some bad memories in history with that wall, so it makes it a little difficult.
Well, this season, you were one of 9 rookies that started out the year in the 305 class, and you're currently second as far as rankings, as far as rookies in the class this year, and holding your own, having a pretty good season, a couple of top 5s, and you've been in the top 10, I think, every race but one. So it seems like you've picked up on how to drive these cars and how to pick up driving on the track as well. Do you feel like you've made a lot of progress yourself within the past year?
Yeah, I think we did. We wanted to be a little further ahead than what we are. The goal was to try and at least finish 5th in points, and it was a long shot knowing the competition and everything out there. I mean, every class from 305, 360, 410, the competition is just, it's all right there. And the good part about a 305 is it's hard to make a mistake and recover from it. So you try and be mistake-free, but, you're always making mistakes and trying different things. And luckily, throughout this whole season, what I thought I was doing to make the car better, it was kind of making the car better, but I didn't really realize it till, I kept finding something going on with the right rear, and we wound up getting the bars all checked, and I had 3 weak bars and 1 was bad, so we wound up racing, I'd say, 3/4 of the season with a 100-pound reverse split in the rear, and it kind of, in the last race, we finally, had all fresh bars in the car, and the heat race, we had it figured out, and that was the first time I actually really enjoyed it and, got everything to where I wanted it to be. And the main event, I kind of forgot to do a couple things, but I just wish we could have tried this a little earlier in the season or found it a little earlier in the season. It's just hard kind of working by yourself and doing everything alone. It takes a little toll on it, and you kind of miss things once in a while, but for the most part, a lot of us don't have bar testers or shock dynos, so it's a little tough.
Yeah, and all the rainouts didn't help you either, so.
Yeah, that hurt a lot. I mean, I wish we could get a lot more in, and I was kind of using the Des Moines track for the fairgrounds for testing so we could be ready on the Saturday nights, but it's tough. If you hurt something there, you got to get everything ready the next night to go back for the points running at Knoxville.
Yep.
You really hate to miss a race at Knoxville.
Yeah, how many times did you race outside of Knoxville this season?
We did the fairgrounds 3 times, I believe, and think we finished fourth, fifth, and one race we were passing for fourth, and we wound up catching a tractor tire and bent the front end a little. We probably could have still went on, but I just had them push me straight back to the trailer, load it up, and I had to drive 2.5 hours home to go get it all fixed and get ready for tomorrow night at Knoxville. So it was kind of just left down as a DNF. And we went to Kender's invited me down to go do some racing with them in Missouri. That was about a good 4-hour drive south, and we ran at California Speedway with Jonathan Cornell and all those ASCS guys, and we tried to run a 360 race, and we wound up making a show. We went from 8th to 5th in the heat race. We made it in on passing points, so we started 14th, and we wound up finishing 16th. So it wasn't too bad of a night, but it was a good weekend. That was about it for outside of Knoxville, really.
So you got one more night this season, and then you got a kind of a long winter here. Are you going to stick around this winter and be ready to race next year?
I surely hope not. I mean, we're racing next year, but this past winter out here, it was a little brutal. So I don't know if I want to go through that one more time. So we'll see how everything pans out. With my car owner, he wants to do it all again next year with the 305 and freshen everything up, and he wants to get the motor up to date to a Knoxville motor. It's actually a smaller Burlington motor, so we can run all these other tracks. But she's not really made for Knoxville. You can see it struggles at Knoxville, and we just try and give it everything we got just to try and stay on top of it. So it's a long shot, but we'll be in it next year with hopefully a brand new car, and we'll be ready to come out swinging, hopefully.
Well, you got any sponsors or anyone you want to thank while you're on the air here?
Winchester Ag, Spud Gustin out of Gustin Racing out in Ohio. They helped out with the fire suit and seats this year. MPD, the MC Racing. Without MC, none of this would be possible. He's the one that puts it on. Chuck's Corvette Clinic in Hawaii. I raced for him back in the day, and he's still helping out with things, and that's about it. Woody Woodruff and their crew, they help out a lot. Joe Beaver, and they all kind of help out with tires and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a good family down there at Knoxville, and we made good friends with a lot of people, and pretty good that we're liked. So.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on the show tonight, and good luck to you Saturday night.
All right, no problem. Thanks. Appreciate it, Eric.
That's Keoni Texeira from Honolulu, Hawaii. He's living in Moulton, Iowa. They're just around Ottumwa. He's also working for Cargill on the side during the week, so made a lot of sacrifices to move that far away from home, and I don't think he liked the winter here last year, so it sounds like he was wanting to go back home this year for the winter and then try to get back here in time for racing season. So I've had the pleasure of interviewing Keone a couple of times this year, and he's always a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance to meet him down in the pit area, I highly recommend it. He's just a cool guy to talk to, and he's pretty funny as well. So thanks to Keone for joining us tonight. We'll be back after these messages. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. With this being our last show of the season, I wanted to kind of just do a quick season review. Looking at the Knoxville Raceway 305 division, Jake Kinder, who's your point leader, he's won 2 races, as has Steve Brazil and Matthew Stelzer, all winning 2 races this season. 305 rookie this year. Devin Klein has also won 2 features. He's actually won the last 2 features for that class. So, and then Kevin Hetrick, a rookie, also picking up 1 feature win. So a lot of good competition there. A good season for those guys. I think Jay Kinder will be tough to catch here for the final night of the season. So we'll see how that shakes out this Saturday night. In the 360 class, Joe Beaver is the point leader. As we mentioned earlier, he's won 3 features this season. Winning 2 races is Justin Henderson. Now, Justin Henderson has been running the 410 and the 360 classes all season long. He is only eligible to win 1 driver's championship, and he elected to race for the 410 title. His car owner, however, is eligible to win the 360 championship for the car owner's trophy and actually have it clinched for the owner's championship. So congratulations to the Brian Sunby #1 team clinching this year's 360 car owner championship. Other 360 feature winners this year were Jamie Ball, who won 1. Jason Johnson won a feature, Billy Alley, and Brian Brown. So another good season for the 360 class, and looking forward to Saturday night to see who will win the driver championship between Joe Beaver and John Egan. And the 410 division, boy, what can you say about this class? One of the toughest classes that we can ever remember competing at Knoxville Raceway in the 61 seasons that we've had there. Ian Madsen, Justin Henderson, Terry McCarl, you're kind of your top three guys there. Brian Brown, who's fourth in points, even though he missed one race this season. Davey Heskin and Craig Delansky, fifth and sixth. Dusty Zomer, seventh. Linton Jeffrey, eighth. Last year's track champion, Bronson Mason, is sitting in ninth place. And coming back to the 410 class this year, Clint Garner is sitting 10th in points after winning the past 5 360 titles. Ian Madsen has won 3 features, including the last 2 races in the 410 class. Justin Henderson has 1 win. Brian Brown has won 3. Craig Delansky has won 3. Even though Terry McCarl hasn't won a race this season, he's been the most consistent, it seems like, week in, week out, other than 1 week there at the Capitani Classic. He had some trouble, but he's sitting 3rd in points. Sitting 11th in points is Brooke Tatnall. Mark Dobmeyer is 12th, and Dustin Selvage is 13th in points. And breaking news there, Dustin Selvage has split ways with the 7K Williams team. Dustin may have his car together to run the 360 class this coming Saturday night, back in his own equipment that he had at his shop in Indianola. But he and the Williams team have parted ways on good terms. They just kind of decided to do something different, and he wanted to leave now and give them the opportunity to hire another driver and hopefully get prepared for 2015. The 410 rookie standings, RJ Johnson and Cole Wood are running 16th and 17th in points. They're pretty close together there, with RJ just a little bit of a lead over Cole. So we'll see how those two guys battle it out this coming Saturday night and who will earn title of 410 Rookie of the Year. So once again, this Saturday night, after the races are over, there's free food in the infield. Sunday night, we will have the annual Enduro, 200 laps or 2 hours, whichever comes first. We'll see what happens this Sunday night for the Enduro, always an entertaining event. Then coming up in September, the 19th and 20th, is Monster Jam. Had a really good turnout for that event last year. Then September 25th through the 27th, the 11th annual Lucas Oil Late Model Knoxville Nationals presented by Casey's. Again, Donnie Schatz will be racing that Thursday night, qualifying for the Late Model Nationals. And if it happens to work out that the World of Outlaws race will get rained out that Saturday night in Michigan, he is planning to fly back and race that Saturday night at Knoxville. So I hate to tell the World of Outlaw fans in Michigan, Todd Buffenbarger, TJ Slideways, I'm hoping it rains that Saturday night so we get to see Donnie Schatz back here on that Saturday. Hopefully you've been watching the TV show Dirt Dreams on MAV TV, kind of the documentary TV series with episodes each Thursday at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. This coming today, actually, as a recap of the 360 Nationals. And then coming up, you will see episodes for the 410 Nationals, the Capitani Classic, Lucas Oil Knoxville Championship Cup Series Finals. The 54th FVP Knoxville Nationals will also air on MAV TV on its own episode. Lucas Oil Productions came in and did their own television show. Dave Despain was there. Dave Argerbright and some others were there to televise that show for you. So coming up, stay tuned to the Knoxville Raceway website, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm sure we'll have an announcement soon about the dates and times for when the Knoxville Nationals will air. That'll be on MAV TV. This is the last episode for Knoxville Raceway Inside Line, but thank you to the listeners, and thank you to KBOE for having us. Really appreciate them giving us the opportunity to do this show this year. The feedback I've received from fans has been positive, so my first time ever hosting a radio show. I was a little nervous those first few shows for sure, and I feel like I've improved a little bit as the season went along, and hope you've enjoyed it. You can stay tuned with the Knoxville Raceway at knoxvilleRaceway.com. Like the Facebook page, follow us on Twitter. You can also follow the Instagram. There's Pinterest. Lots of ways to stay connected and informed about the happenings around the Knoxville Raceway and the upcoming events and leading up to the 2015 season. So I hope to see everyone Saturday night for the Championship Cup Series Finals at Knoxville Raceway. Thanks for listening.